if I'm being honest, there are some things that I have failed on and I'm like, yep, missed the mark on that one, but it's okay. This is all still new and I will figure it out. And I learned that from you in the coaching session because we had a conversation a while ago about like being okay with failure.
Welcome to the Game of Her Own podcast, a podcast about women who work in sports. I'm your host, Jahaan Blake. After 15 years of working for 3 major league teams, including the Boston Red Sox, Los Angeles Dodgers, and the Chicago Cubs, I discovered the one thing I loved the most was helping women in sports shatter glass ceilings and take their seat at the table. I loved it so much that I made a business out of it. I have the honor of coaching high-performing women in the sports and entertainment industry and supporting them as they go after exactly what they want in their career. So if you are feeling tired of waiting on the sidelines, done being overlooked for promotions, and you're ready to pull ahead of the pack and take your career to the next level, girl, I'm here for it. I also created the Game of Her Own podcast to support you as well. We are here to share the stories of incredible women who work in sports and entertainment. These leaders and trailblazers will inspire you with their success and the lessons they've learned along the way to the top. Ladies, there is nothing like women empowering women. I am so honored you're here.
Have you ever run into a challenge when you're managing a team? What about delegating tasks? I am giving you a front row seat to a coaching session I have with my client, Jordan Corbin. She's the manager of sports experiences for On Location. Jordan is a first-time manager and came to me to make sure she gets it right. See, like a lot of you listening right now, Jordan is ambitious and takes extreme pride in her work. And she wants to deliver not only to her manager, but the people she manages. She recognizes the value of connecting and inspiring her direct reports, as well as being able to have difficult conversations and provide tough feedback to help them grow. So Jordan and I spend some time working on how to make sure she can achieve her goals. All right, Game of Her Own listeners, let's do this. Jordan, I'm so excited. Welcome to the Game of Her Own podcast.
Woo woo! I've listened for a long time. Sorry. I've listened for a long time, so it's a pleasure to be here.
Before we jump into this coaching session, take us back in time and tell us, and I actually don't think I know this story. Tell us when you first fell in love with sports.
I would have to say I was the back girl for my sister's travel ball team. I fell in love with it then. I saw her out on the field playing and I was like, oh my God, this is so awesome. Women out here playing, doing their thing. And I just thought it was a great experience. And then in tandem with that, my dad used to work for Turner Broadcasting Systems, which is now Warner Media. And he would take us to like the Atlanta Hawks game. And I was like, oh, I want to do his job. Like, this sounds amazing. And I told him from that point on, I was like, I'm going to work in sports.
How old were you?
I would say I was like 6 or 7.
I think you're going to say 6 or 17. Are you kidding me? 6 or 7. So you had the opportunity to see people working in sports and know it was a thing, which so many people, I mean, at 6 or 7, nobody has any clue, but like you just don't know that it's a thing that you can actually do, especially as a woman and especially as a Black woman. Like, oh, look at my dad. Like, you're working.
And I thought he was like the coolest person. I was like, I would tell my friends, I'm like, oh my God, like I get to go to all these games. Like we went to Hawaii one time for a trip for him and they were doing like some sort of thing. And I got to meet like Charles Barkley and we took pictures with him and everything. So that was amazing. Yeah.
Okay. Like, I'm so jealous. I try not to get like, I don't get starstruck, right? Like just being around, like you just get used to it, like being around players and like, then you have like celebrities coming in to like throw out the first pitch. Like you just get used to it. Yeah. However, Charles Barkley and Oprah, like I'd come unglued. Like I would not be able to keep my cool whatsoever.
Yeah. And I feel like I'm bragging now, but now that you brought up Charles Barkley,
you bring? Oh, it's like you met Oprah.
No. So my dad actually did a special on like TNT, like NBA Tonight or something like that, like a long time ago. And he was standing next to Shaq, and I put it on my Instagram, and I was like, "Oh my God, look at my dad! He's so cool!" Blah 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 blah. Like I can't believe, because my dad's 6'1", and Shaq is like huge. And my dad was like, Shaq was like literally putting like his whole body on him. And he was like, whoa, back up, man. So they're like, I wouldn't say they're not best friends or anything like that, but when they see each other, they say like, "Hey, what's up, Shaq?" And he said, "What's up, Drew?" My dad's name is Andrew. So,
Aww, I love that.
yeah.
All right. So I see when you kind of fell in love with sports, you had some great access to seeing some amazing things, including your sister and then your dad. Did you play?
Yes, I played softball from, I would say, the age of 4 until 24. And I told my dad, like when I was playing, I said, I'm going to be better than Jennifer, who is my sister. I said, watch out. And I told her when I was like 3 years old, I was like, I'm going to be better than you, watch.
Does that at 3? I just spent like 8 days with my nephew who's 2, and I can't imagine, like, he's gonna be 3 in August of 2022. Like, I can't imagine him like saying that. But
oh no, right. I was adamant. I was like, I'm gonna be the best one out here. Like, but
wait, so were you?
Yes. Of course. Of course. Yes, of course. I mean, she went to UGA and played for like a year or two, and I went to a D2 school, but I am also in the record books. So I'm in the top 10 of, I think it's like 15 offensive categories for the University of West Georgia. So
okay,
I hold that very near and dear to my heart.
All right. Well, congrats on that. I hope your sister and dad listens to this, and I hope your sister like comes to my social media and comments and lets me know like if she actually thinks you're better or she's better. I'm just saying.
No, she knows the truth. She's admitted it. She's like, yeah, you were the better one. So she knows.
That's so funny. All right. We can talk about that all day, but let's get into your coaching session. Tell us. So this on-air coaching, I love doing these. A lot of fun. It gives everybody kind of like a peek behind the curtain, what it's like to have somebody support you along your journey. You're ambitious. You're going after it. Like I've known you for, I don't know, a year, 2 years now.
Yeah.
I don't know.
Yes. After I sent you a long email.
You guys, I preach no long emails, and when you're trying to like meet somebody or do it, whatever, but like sometimes they work.
Yes, they definitely do. Because I was very persistent because I had been listening to the podcast for a while, and I was like, you know what? I'm just going to shoot my shot, and I'm gonna send Jahaan an email. And I was like, hey, these are the people that I think will be interesting for you to interview for your podcast. This is what I've learned from the time that I've been listening. Like, I love it because I was trying to get back into the sport industry, as you already know. So, yeah.
You know, what's interesting is I got to go back and look at that because I can always use good recommendations. And that's probably what caught my attention, right? So everybody always talks about, oh, I don't have anything to give somebody when I want to ask them for like, just like an informational interview, but you did.
Yeah.
That was your like, hey, like, here are some people, whether I use them or not, that's on me. But like, you gave me something. So, and it was just an informational interview, everybody. So
yes,
like I told you, I love hearing from you. And it doesn't mean that you have to become a client to reach out to me. Yeah. Like you can just want to have a conversation. So don't be afraid to reach out to me. And like, what, a year and a half later, you became a client?
Yeah. It was crazy because you had reached out to me and was just like, hey, I'm doing this coaching session. It's 6 months long. Let's talk about it and see if this would be a good fit for you. And like literally 15 minutes after we were having that conversation, I was like, yes, send me everything that I need and I will sign up, because I told you that I had read this book. It's by Minda Harts. I can't remember what the name of it is at the moment, but she was talking about like how investing in yourself is very important. And I was like, okay, this is an opportunity for me to invest in myself and my future, because I know I want to get back to sports. So why not take this opportunity? Like, yes, did I feel like it may have been, I wouldn't say like it was financially a lot, but you have to invest in yourself in order to better yourself.
Yeah, exactly. Was the name of the book The Memo?
Yes. Yes. I could not remember for the life of me. I have literally recommended this book to everybody that I've talked to, but it's just about like Black and brown women, or, you know, women in general trying to secure a seat at the table, but it specifically speaks to Black and brown women and how we have to deal with like microaggressions in the workplace, and how if we don't advocate for ourselves, nobody else is. Like, you have to do all this on your own technically, because nobody knows what you want but you.
Yeah.
So you have to figure that out and then put it out in the universe and go out and grab it, because nobody's going to give you anything. And I mean, that's how I've always been taught too. Like, my parents are like, you have to be, and I know I've talked to you about it, but you have to be 10 times better than everybody else. And so that has always been my mentality. Like, I will, come to work early. I will stay late to get my work done, because I want to be proficient and efficient at my job and do my job effectively.
Yes. I love it. All right. We're going to link to that book in the show notes. And yes, I remember reaching out to you. I was almost done. I was like, something's telling me to reach out to Jordan. And I remember you were like, something was telling me, like, I need to go out and get, like, it was like this perfect, everything like aligned. Like, yes. I was almost like dumb and almost about to close the doors. I was like, let's send her a message and see what she check in, see what she's up to. And yes. So I'm honored that you joined our program. Why don't you tell everybody what you do and who you do it for?
So currently I am the manager of collegiate experiences for On Location. I started here at the end of July. So we do experiences and travel for college football. So let's say if like two teams are playing that they normally don't play during the regular season. So I did Nebraska at Oklahoma. They normally don't play each other. I did a travel experience for their donors and alumni group. So that included like a tailgate, 2-night stay at a hotel. They did a water taxi, like just creating experiences around the game. And then right now we are doing like ESPN tournaments. So basically there's 4 of them. I'm doing 2 out of the 4. It's the ESPN Events Invitational, Wooden Legacy, Myrtle Beach Invitational, and then the Charleston Classic. And basically for all of the teams that are in the tournament, we manage their hotel stay, their meals, and then their transportation as well. And then after that, we go into bowl. So that's what we're also prepping for right now while I'm on site in Anaheim for the Wooden Legacy. We work on bowl games for our clients as well. After that, we do a little bit of Super Bowl. After that, we have Final Four in March Madness. All of the things.
Yeah, I mean, you are busy. I know when you were in Chicago, and I'm still mad that our schedules didn't align. Like we tried. There was a good effort, but hopefully you'll be back. But I know when you were here, I was like, oh my God, she's texting me. It's like 1 a.m. And I know you're not out partying. Like you were working your tail off.
I literally looked and I had worked like 60 hours that week. And I was like, there is no sleep.
Nah, not an event day. Like I'm about to, I get ready for super. I 100% do not agree with that, because I love me some sleep. I was in bed by like 9:30 last night. Like,
No, I'm just kidding. But I do feel like on site when I am working events, like I don't go to sleep until, this may sound crazy, but like 2 a.m. because I'm either trying to catch up on emails for the next tournament that I'm working on, the next thing that I'm working on, or trying to address emails from somebody that has a question for me that needs to get answered immediately, but like I couldn't answer during the day. So
and you're just starting this role, right? And so as you get used to it, like I know when I first started doing contract work for Super Bowl, when I would go on site for like 2 or 3 weeks, leading up to Super Bowl, I did not sleep a lot. And I was on my computer, like answering emails, and it had to do with like I wasn't even worried about stuff that was happening in the future. It was that. But now, like I'm going into my 5th or 6th Super Bowl. Mm-hmm. I have got it down to a science, like the pre-work I need to do before I get on site to set myself up for success, like all the things I need to do so I can actually sleep and function. Because as you get older, you cannot keep doing that. Like for me, like it doesn't work anymore. Before, like I remember working World Series and, you're just excited and you're out partying with your colleagues and your coworkers. And then the next day you're at the office and working on 2 hours sleep for game 1 of the World Series and not unfazed by it.
Yes.
I was in my 20s. I could not do that right now.
Well, let me tell you something. I drink Celsius drinks, like the energy drinks, coffee, and then one of my coworkers put me on it's matcha lemonade from Starbucks. And so I always, as you can see, I have a Celsius drink that I'm drinking right now because I've been up since 5.
There's just no
you're
need.
you're like, oh no. I don't think my body knows what time zone I'm in because I've been like in 4 different ones. But so how did you, when you traveled for 3 weeks, like how did you pack? Because let me tell you something. Somebody picked up my suitcase and was like, are you gone for 2 months?
There was no strategy behind my packing. Like, you got to prioritize what's important. And like me showing up and like, you know, crushing this role that I was in was the most important thing. So I was like, I don't want to think about clothes. Let me put extra everything in it. Now I'm bringing a huge suitcase. Now I'm just like, okay, like I know what I need to wear to be comfortable. I know what I need to, like, it's different. It will change. But then I was like, the priority is not thinking about what I have to wear, but I'm very moody. So like, my mood changes and then my clothes change accordingly. So I'm like, I just packed. I was like, well, I may be in a, like I want to look cute mood, or I, by the way, I never was in that mood, but like when I was on site, but like, I might want to go out to dinner and like look nice. And like, so I packed everything. So good luck with that. We can talk more about that
it's okay
offline.
with my big suitcase. I got it.
Who cares? Right? Like, are you paying for your suitcase?
No.
Yeah. But yeah, I got one free piece of luggage and I was like, I am taking advantage of it. It could be up to 70 pounds. I'm doing it.
Yes, right.
How long have you been On Location? Share with everybody.
Since the end of July. I started on July 26th to be exact. And immediately after I started, my boss called me and was like, you're doing a site visit in Anaheim, California. You leave on Wednesday. I was like, holy crap, I don't even know what I'm supposed to do on a site visit. I actually asked one of my coworkers, like, hey, like, what are some questions that I should ask when I'm walking through? Because I don't like to be unprepared.
I love that you did that, right? Like, it's okay not to go and do something that you've never done before.
Yeah.
You have to be resourceful.
Yeah.
Ask a lot of questions and be curious. Okay. So let's talk about, what are you hoping to get out of our call today?
Basically how to manage better and manage the person that reports to me, because I want to do a better job at that due to like the last job I was in. I was a one-man shop and I did everything and I had no kind of work-life harmony or balance. And I'm so used to doing everything. Like now that I have so much on my plate, I'm like, how do I delegate this? And I know that's one of the things that my boss has already shared with me, like she wants me to get better at. I just struggle because I don't want to give the person that reports to me work and him think that, oh, Jordan's just giving this to me because she doesn't want to do it, or that I don't know how to do it. And I think that's the biggest thing for me is I just don't want him to feel like I'm just passing off work to him because I don't want to do it.
So how to manage better, but it sounds like to me, the bigger piece here is how to delegate more. Is that right?
Yes.
Okay. So how to be better at delegating is really like the bigger piece. Is that where you want to start?
Yeah. In my mind, I feel like I do delegate, but then I think about it and I'm like, there's so much work that I could delegate. I could delegate more. But I guess the biggest thing since I've just started is that I don't feel like I can be a good manager or a successful manager if I don't know exactly how to do the things that I'm delegating. So I don't want to tell him to do X, Y, and Z, and I don't even know how to do it. And then when he comes to me with questions, I'm like, I don't know how to do this. So for me, I feel like to be a successful manager, I have to understand the things that I am delegating to him. And maybe that could be me just projecting or me just making up a story in my mind, but that's how I feel. And I mean, I would hate for me to have something given to me and I go to my boss and they're like, I don't know how to do that. Like, that's how I think about things. Like, how would I perceive it?
Okay. So I like that. Let's stick with that for a second. So if your boss gave you something that she has never done before, but she needs you to do it, and you go to her with questions, what do you think she would say to you?
Like, I would hope that she would answer, but I have no idea. That's a good question. She would probably ask me, did I like try to figure it out on my own, I guess. I don't know. Like for me, that's what I do is if I'm given something and I do have questions, I at least try to look for an outcome or like things, the process that I think that I would go or the route that I would go, and then go to my boss and say, hey, this is the task that you gave me. This is what I'm thinking about doing. Am I along the correct lines? Because I don't want anybody to feel like they're like trying to handhold me. Like I've never been like that. So I try to figure out stuff on my own, and then I go ask and to see if I'm on the correct track. If I don't know any of that makes sense.
It makes complete sense, right? You are a manager's dream. You're getting a task, you're digging into it. You realize that I'm not quite sure, but here's how I would do it. Am I on the right path?
Yeah.
So you're going to your manager with solutions.
Yeah.
Okay. So now you go to your manager with a solution. And then what? What do you think she would say to you?
I think she would say, like, you are right on this part, but this is some other things that you need to think about and consider, because this has happened before.
Well, let's pause. This has happened before, but does she know how to do what you're doing? Is this new to both of you? You see what I'm saying?
Yeah, I would say for the most part, she does, because she used to be with the company and then like left and then came back. But some of the processes and things have changed a little bit. So I think on some fronts, like we're still learning together. But if she does have a question, like she'll say, hold up, let me go ask so-and-so who's proficient in this area before I like give you an answer.
How does that make you feel when she does that? You guys are learning together. You just said that. So you are aware that you guys are learning something together. Yeah. And then she's going to somebody else. Like you guys have talked it through, come up with a solidified plan, if you will, right? Yeah. Like, or like an approach on how to go after something. And then she's going to check with someone else. So how does that make you feel when she does that?
I guess that like, she doesn't know everything either. And it's okay not to know, it's okay not to have all of the answers at one time, I guess. And it's okay to ask for help from somebody who is proficient in an area that might not be your strongest suit.
Do you respect her less?
No.
Do you see her any like less than, right?
No.
Like that she can't do her job as a result?
No, but I see what dots you're connecting for me right now.
Yeah.
Yes. That is very true.
You are in the events world, so there's going to be a lot of new stuff. 5 or 6 Super Bowls I've done, but every site is different, right? Yeah. And so we run into new challenges all the time. And my client, when I go to her with something, she's like, sometimes she'll look at me and go, oh shit. But I also know that my client is a badass and like, we're going to figure it out together. Sometimes I have to go to her and like, I don't have time to like come up with my own like solution for her. I just have time to be like, this is a problem. What do we do? Let's figure this out. Like, because we just don't even have time for that. We're on a clock. So the Super Bowl is happening, whether we like it or not. But for you, you can come up with an approach and then go to her. And it sounds like you're doing that. She's welcoming it.
Yes.
And you don't respect her any less. You don't think any less of her. It sounds like you really like your manager. So what happens when your direct report does that? What's going on there?
So instead of coming to me, he'll like go to technically my boss, but she's our boss. He'll go to her instead of coming to me. And it's something that I could have helped with or troubleshooted, because I've done some of the things that he has gone to our boss with, like I have already done and I know a little bit about, since I've been literally in the weeds with a lot of the things that are going on. But he'll go to her and then she'll come to me and like, why didn't he come to you? Because now that's adding, I guess she's allocating more time to him. Mm-hmm. And then that's taken away from stuff that she could be doing.
What level is he?
The coordinator.
Okay. So he reports to you and he's junior. So one problem you're having is he goes to her instead of you when there's a problem. Yeah. But why is that?
I have no idea, because when he first started, I had the conversation like, hey, I know I'm going to be, your manager. I just want to let you know Like, I'm here to support you in any way because your success is my success and our success is the company's success. And the things that I need from you is to let me know the best way that you learn, how you receive praise, and what you need from me as a manager.
What other expectations did you set up for him? So right now I'm hearing, I want to know the best way you learn. I want to know how you like praise. And then what was the other one that you said? I think it was, I want you to know I'm here as a manager.
Yeah, I'm here to support you.
So that was your conversation to start.
Yes.
Hey, Jahaan here. I hope you're enjoying the interview. I'm sure you are thinking about your own career right now and how you can pull out in front of the pack to take your career to the next level. For 18 years, supporting women in sports has been my favorite part of my career, and I would love to support you. Whether it's joining my free Game of Her Own community or one of my one-on-one coaching programs, I am here for you. Send me a message at jblake@jahaanblake.com or DM me on Instagram at jahaanblake, and let's schedule a time to have a free session. I cannot wait to hear from you. All right, let's get back to why you're here.
Okay. So how does your direct report know when they're meeting expectations?
That is a good question. I guess he doesn't, but we have like weekly one-on-ones where we talk about like kind of where he is, what I need from him, and what he needs from me. He says the same thing every week, or he'll just say like, I don't really have anything, but I like the communication that you give to me and like you passing off work to me and like letting me know how I can support you. Because all he says is like, I just want to support you, but I don't know where the disconnect is. And maybe I need to have expectations from him. And we go over like, I need you to be like more proactive in taking initiative. This is an example. This team has a name change. Can I submit to the hotel? Like, yes, you've done that multiple times. You don't have to come to me and ask that, because he's been submitting name changes, rooming lists, all that stuff. So it's just like small stuff like that. He's either asking me or he's asking my boss. I don't know if he feels like I'm micromanaging, but it's also like I haven't delegated enough for him to feel like that. But maybe I need to have a conversation with him and say like, this is where we're at. How can we work better together so that you don't feel that you have to ask me questions on things that you've already done before. Something as small as like a name change. That's something that you can go ahead and send off.
I like having the conversation. What if you, and tell me if you've done this, but I know you talked about expectations with your direct report, but I feel like from what you're telling me, these are not measurable. This is not something that they would know, like I'm doing it, right? Because sometimes people don't know how they like to learn until they like go through it and they're junior, right? Yeah. Sometimes people don't know how they like praise. Like that makes them uncomfortable. Like, I don't know, like I don't, right? Like it took me a long time to figure those things out. And like, you're here to support them. So you had a really good conversation. Like, I'm open to these things. Just tell me how, and I'm here for you. Right. So you've done a good job of just like setting the stage of like, I'm a supportive manager, but now you need to delegate better. That's what you want to do. Yes. But your direct report, one is going to around you and not, I'm outside looking in. I don't know that. And for the feeling I get from you, it's not, there's no evil behind it, right? Yeah. Like it's not like I'm struggling for the right word here, but there's nothing like they're not trying to, like they're just ill-willed, right? Like it's not right. And so it's just trying to do the job. Yeah. But what if you had a conversation, like you said, but what if you had a checklist of what's expected? And maybe it's just, hey, I'm going to delegate more to you. Right. I want to make sure that you're growing in this role. I want to give you more responsibility. And here's what it's going to look like. So my expectation of you is you're going to, when there's this is a specific example, but when there's a team name change, that you are going to handle all communications with the hotel. Mm-hmm. If it's something new that neither of us have done before, then you're going to flag it for me.
Okay.
Right. And like kind of go through, you're going to have to put all of these things in buckets, like
Okay.
in categories.
Yeah.
Right. Like I always talk about a scorecard, like that helps people understand how they're doing. Like, okay, so accommodation communications or hotel communications, whatever that is, like, and you can think of all the different categories that you want them to handle, but you got to talk about what it looks like.
Yeah. Okay.
Okay. And then you can put in, okay, here's how this is going to go. When you have a question, you are to come directly to me. You come to me and you bring me your questions. It doesn't matter if you think it's something that's, you could talk through like, what sort of, you've gone to so-and-so, whatever your manager's name is, and brought questions there. Mm-hmm. I'm going to be your first stop moving forward. It is my expectation of you and the job that you're doing that you come to me because I'm your manager. So this is, I see the face. I see the face. This is when you're going to have a difficult conversation, and not so much that it's difficult for your direct report. It's difficult for you because I can see your face right now. Yeah. You all can't see Jordan right now. She is like, her face, like her shoulders went up and she's rubbing her head, and that's okay. But once you do it once, and I want you to talk a little bit why, like if you want to, why you're feeling like some type of way right now. But like, these are the things that you need to do as a manager, and they get easier with time.
I already know you're right. That's why I'm like, oh, she's so right. I need to do this. What I am learning, though, being in this managerial role, is that everybody learns differently and everybody takes the information that you give them differently. So I know for him, he needs a list. Like, I need you to do this way, this way, and then you do this. Like, he needs it spelled out for him. And so I know.
As he should, right? Yes. Like, you are junior when you get in, like eyes wide, like deer, in headlights, like what in the world is going on? Here's the deal. When you start a job and you're excited about your job and you're so passionate about it, you just want to get it right. You want to get it right. So it's up to you as a manager to provide your direct report. And as you grow, direct reports with the tools to do their job well. So when you're uncomfortable with saying things like, come to me, not my manager, not, so-and-so who's on this project, right? Like, come to me because it's got to filter through me. Because you give example. I go to my manager when I have a bigger question. I don't go to her manager, right? Like, so you just give examples of how you're following the same protocol and you want that your direct report to do the same.
Yeah.
I think there's two separate things here. It's the list, your checklist of like expectations, like tangible, measurable, like, so this person knows I am doing this well. So you guys can talk about it. Hey, let's talk about these once a month, how we're doing on these. I can give you how I believe you're doing on them. You can tell me how I can support you better to continue to do these. You can even give it I like a scorecard, a red, green, or yellow, or you can say, meeting expectations, exceeding, or needs development. Super simple stuff, but it's got to be very, very black and white, simple for your direct reports to understand so they can do right by you. And the one thing I'm going to add, and I'm going to pause and get your take on this, is I would write the list and then run it by your manager first. Be like, you know what? I need to work on delegating. You see it also. Here is my approach to work on that. This is the conversation I'm going to have with my direct report. Here's the checklist I came up with of expectations, because I feel like they need a blueprint because they are junior, rightfully so, right? And so here's what I'm going to give them. And here's what I'm going to talk about. Is there anything you would change, add, delete?
I can do that.
And then you get buy-in, and then you get a second person weighing in on your approach, right? So like, well, you got me. And then you get like your manager, because when it goes down, you know what I mean? Like, I'm not going to be there. You want your manager to be like, I am on board. This is great. Wouldn't change a thing. I'm on board. This is great. Add this one thing, delete this one thing. And so now they know that you've had this conversation. When your direct report isn't meeting expectations, they can be like, hey, I know that Jordan had this conversation with you. If they go to your manager instead of you, hey, I know Jordan talked to you about this, so let's just make sure you're following what's expected of you. How does all this sit with you?
I know that this is something that I've needed to do. I just now that you're saying it, I'm like, yeah, I definitely should. Like, I guess talking it out helps me because in my mind, I'm like, I know the things that I need him to do. I've communicated it verbally, but not like a written format and sat down and like, look, this is what I need. This is the pathway we need to go moving forward. We've kind of slowly started to correct, like going to my boss for things. But there's still like little things here and there. So we're on the correct path. I just have to get the other things in line. But I have a question for you. So could I also put in this checklist, like being more, this isn't measurable, but being a little bit more proactive and taking initiative. So for example, if I ask you we have binders for on-site, and this is something small, but there's binders for on-site, and I ask you to print out 2 copies of everything, one for mine and then one for his. And then he just like lets them sit there, even though I told them that they need to be in a binder and they need to go in the binder and they're for us. But instead of putting them in, he just prints them out and then leaves them on the desk and they're sitting there for like a week.
Look at me. I'm like that literally, I would have smoke coming out of my head if like that was me, like, right. If I was on site in that, that's event 101.
So that's the thing. And, maybe my approach and like my directions should be like, I guess, clearer and say, print these out for you and, you and I hole punch them, put them in the binder for each one of ours and make sure they're in the correct order. Like this is something small, but like it's an example of something that actually happened. But I feel like in my mind, and I guess I keep thinking about things of how when people give me stuff to do, this is how I receive it. Like if somebody says, I need you to print out 2 copies, one for your binder and one for mine, why would I not go ahead and start putting it in the binder? Or say like, I'm going to put this in the binder and I don't know if this is the way you want it, but this is the way that I put it in. Let me know if you want to change anything. Like stuff like that, I feel like is common sense and I shouldn't have to say, but at the same time, I guess I need to be more specific and just give like exactly what I want. Yeah.
Okay. 2 things that went really well with what you just said. You accepted the role that you're playing in your direct reports miss. It was almost like you coached yourself. Like maybe I don't even need to be here. Like I'll just mute myself and you could just talk, right? Like you accepted the role that you played in it. Like you recognize that, hey, maybe, and this is a specific example, but when you boil it up, it's a behavior that you need to do every single time, right? Yeah. So that may mean every event, you need to do a roles and responsibility list. And you need to say what done looks like because everybody has their own version, right? So like when I do fan experience, I find it to be the easiest job. The problem is everybody has their own version. To me, it is common sense that we greet guests, that we help them, solve a problem, right? Like just they spill something and you see it and like they just spent $20 on nachos. Like you immediately figure out how you're going to help them. Like, right. Like, so like that to me is common sense. That is not common sense to everybody else because they have a different view of what experience looks like. Right. So for you, what are my roles and responsibilities? What does the organization, forget Jordan, like what does the organization expect of us as event executors, right? What do they expect of us to do? Okay, these are the things that we have to do. Okay, this is going to be my responsibility. These are your responsibilities. Let me tell you what done looks like for us. What are our standards? This is what done looks like. Let's use the binder, for example. Done looks like you're going to print it out. You are going to put it together. You are going to let us know when it's done. You are, you know what I mean? Like you're going to ask us if there's anything else before it's final, whatever the components of it are. Yeah. But you have to spell it out because everyone has their own definition. So that person, your direct reports, and this could be anybody, may think she asked me to do this and I got it done and it's just sitting on the desk. I did exactly what she said. what's next. Maybe she didn't want it. They're telling themselves their own story. Maybe she didn't want me to waste my time on putting it together because someone else was going to do it. Like maybe, so I just did what I was supposed to do and I'm ready for the next thing. So I see three things here. I see a big picture overall, something that you can use for the next like year, right? And you can like check in with them quarterly, maybe about expectations of the job. Then I see you drill down a little deeper and you get into roles and responsibilities for each event. What do you guys call them? Do you call them events?
Yes.
Okay, so for each event, you have roles and responsibilities, and that's when you're really telling them what done looks like.
Yeah.
According to your organization's standards, right?
Okay.
So not even you, according to your organization's standards. This is how we at On Location do business. Make it less about you, make it more about your organization. You are the manager, making sure it gets done. How does that sit with you?
I mean, you're just preaching to me today at this point. So, I mean, you're right. Like, I know I need to be more specific and like set goals and expectations of what we as a company need, especially for each event. I guess I'm just struggling with like every event that we do or every season that we do is a little different. Those roles and responsibilities and expectations may change. And since I'm still learning what that looks like, we're going to be figuring this out together on
I think that's great.
And on what that looks like. Because, for example, last week I managed the Charleston Classic and I didn't know what an ESPN looked like start to finish. I knew we managed hotels, their lodging. I knew that we did their transportation, and I know that we did their meals. So here's an example. I didn't know for their meals, or like if they have people who are pay on own, which instead of being on the team's master account, they pay us. I didn't know that they paid us. I thought that they paid the hotel. So that's just like, it's small things like that are like little miscommunications that aren't trickled down. So I didn't know that was supposed to be done. So here I am at midnight trying to like sell in these rooms and then collect payment for the pay on own people, which is technically something that my direct report could have done if I would have known that beforehand. But again, we're both learning at this point. And so I think once I get clear on expectations for each, college regular season football game, each ESPN event, each bowl game, Super Bowl, Final Four, like it will become easier to identify and clarify roles and responsibilities for all of those. But it's hard to do that for bowls since I haven't done it. Like, since I haven't neither one of us have been through it yet. I know what the starting point and the end point is supposed to be, but still trying to figure out the middle part of it.
Okay, so there's a lot of you don't know what you don't know.
Yeah.
Is what I'm hearing you say. So yeah. There's a learning curve for every event that you do. I think that this also, what you're going to do for your direct report, I think you can flip that and do that, manage up. So just trying to learn, just going over, and you may already do this, going over like, hey, this is what I understand my role and responsibilities are. So, right. So this one's a little different. You're going to write it out for you as well.
Yeah.
This is what I understand for this event. I feel like expectations you have down pat. This is what I know. Is there anything that's like missing? Is there anything I should I don't know, that is just that your manager's going to have that institutional knowledge. Mm-hmm. And you can just say that, like, okay, what things am I missing? Am I not thinking of, or things that, just are little quirks that happen with this certain event. Have you done that before?
Yes. I just try to be like, take initiative, and because I want to know things in totality. Like, and that's what I explained to my boss when I first started, is like, I understand there's different seasons and different ways to run an event for each of the ones that we do. However, I need to know what an event looks like from start to finish for college regular season, for ESPN, for all of these things. And I know her approach was wanting to break it up, but for me, I need to know what the process looks like. So even if I don't understand it at that point, when it does come up, I can say, oh, I do remember that they did talk about this. I remember this coming up. And I even mentioned like, it may be a lot for me to comprehend at this point because I know it is a lot that goes into all of these events, but I would rather have all the information because I take notes, have the notes, and then I can refer back to it because I don't want to have to ask the same question 2 times.
Okay, good. I love that. What you're telling me is you're doing that. You're having the conversation, but there's still things that slip through the cracks.
Yes. And I think it's just like nuances have changed a little bit from the last time my boss was there to like now. So some of the processes has changed a little bit. So the things that they used to do a couple years ago is a little different than what they do right now. So it's just like little stuff that slips through the cracks that I'm like, oh shoot, I didn't even know that I was supposed to do that. Okay, I'll get on it. But I'm not like freaking out like, oh my God, the sky's about to fall out. Like we'll figure it out and we'll move forward. But I've also tried to take this whole time, I'm not going to know everything. And for me, that's a hard pill to swallow because I want to know everything, or I want to be knowledgeable and be able to be a resource and just be able to do my job better. But I know that I'm going to fail a lot and I have to get comfortable with that feeling, which if I'm being honest, there are some things that I have failed on and I'm like, yep, missed the mark on that one, but it's okay. This is all still new and I will figure it out. And I learned that from you in the coaching session because we had a conversation a while ago about like being okay with failure. And I know I had mentioned a while ago as well, it's just not in my DNA to fail. Like it's always been a bad thing. Mm-hmm. And I can attribute that to softball, again, having to be 10 times better than everybody else. And for me, failure is just like, it's unacceptable. And so I put unnecessary, I wouldn't say it's I guess it is unnecessary pressure to like want to know, want to be able to execute, want to do good, like want to do well in everything that I do, because in my mind and how I've been taught, failure is not an option. And people may think that like, wow, that's a tough way to like, not live life, but like that's a tough way to think. But I know nobody ever wants to fail, but when I make a mistake or failure hits, I'm like, oh God, this is terrible.
I shouldn't generalize, but a lot of people are that way because you put so much work into it. Like, so I've seen your like passion behind what you do. Of course you don't want to fail. Yeah. But it sounds like to me, you did what I just said you did earlier. Like you just kind of coached yourself. You stated what the challenge was, and then I let you go and you came to the conclusion that, all right, sometimes I'm going to miss, but it's not because you aren't putting in the work. It's not because you're not having conversations with your manager. Some things are just going to happen. And it sounds like to me, once they happen, they're not going to happen to you twice. And if they're bigger picture, like opportunities for you to be like, this is the question I need to ask my manager every single time, you're going to do that, right? So you don't miss again. It sounds like you have a good relationship with your manager where you can say those things. Hey, these things slip through the cracks. Next time, what should I ask you? So I don't do that. Like, or is this something that was new to you too? And we're all just learning. Is that accurate to say?
Yes, that is very accurate.
We got to end here. I think we're going to miss the rapid fire questions due to us talking a lot and
me rambling and coming back full circle. My boss says the same thing. She's like, you come to me with a problem and then you talk to me about a solution. I just let you talk. And then you eventually make your way back to like the answer that I was going to give you anyway. And she's like, I just let you talk.
Yeah. Okay. I like your manager. Maybe we should interview her for the podcast because I am the same way. I was just like, let her go. Like she's getting there. I see it. So, okay. A few things. I feel like you have 3 priorities here. So I see the big picture expectations of the job, setting those. Also roles and responsibility. This is kind of 2 in 1 here. No, roles and responsibility, painting what done looks like. And then also, and I stole that from Brene Brown, the painting what done looks like. And then the last thing is, it's almost like creating your own playbook. just all the things that you're learning along the way, making sure that you don't have to ask that question twice. And I don't feel like I even need to say that to you because you're already doing that. So is there a deadline or a timeline you want to put on setting expectations? Oh, you guys can't see her face right now. It's hilarious. Do you want to put a timeline on when you're going to set the big picture expectations, knowing that you have to have my recommendation is to write them and have a conversation with your manager. And then also, what's the framework for the roles and responsibilities? And I actually have a template that you may be able to tweak that would help you. So I can send that to you. So you want to put some timeline on that?
I feel like this is going to sound like an excuse. Can you give me a time? Because I only say that because if I have to give you the time frame that I'm thinking about, you're going to be like, Jordan, no, we're not doing that. Only because bowls are about to come, like bowls are coming up and I'm prepping for that while also trying to close out Charleston and work on Wooden right now. So it's like a lot of things going on, which I know that there's always going to be things going on, but it'll slow down in like January. And I knew if I gave you January, you were like, heck no, we're not doing that. So you have to give me a timeline.
Here's how I look at it. Do you want to make changes?
Yes.
In the beginning, when it comes to managing people, like there is, especially when like you're like training somebody in this, I feel like this situation, it's retraining somebody, but like it's going to take more time and there's never going to be a good time. But here's how I look at it. If you don't do that, if you don't do it now, if you don't put the time and the work into it now, when you're going through the bowl games, when you're going through all the big events, it's going to cost you more time anyway. And it's going to cost you more energy because now you're going to be like, oh man, they're still going to my boss. Oh man, I'm still not delegating the way my manager had expected me to. So there's going to be some upfront work, but I think it's going to pay off in the long run. I know. So now with that, do you have a timeline in mind?
Okay. How about this? 2 weeks. So December 7th.
So December 7th, what is happening by December 7th?
I am going to create the roles and responsibilities. Like, what does done look like? I'm also going to have a conversation with my direct report.
So that means if I were you, I'd recommend you can do it all at once, but like I would recommend doing the overall, like the big picture expectations of your job and your role done first. We're keeping it simple. We're calling it a checklist. It can evolve. You can add more to it. It could be a working document, but let's get this in writing to start. And don't forget, so December 7th.
Let me put it on my calendar now because you are not about to call me and say, Jordan, where are we at on this?
So put it on your calendar but December 7th means that you got to back into that, right? So when are you going to have that conversation with your manager, right? You want to have input on this. I highly recommend that you have somebody from your team who has a lot more experience that you report into say to you, and this is all about, hey, I'm going to be better at delegating. I'm going to be a better manager. It's something I want. Here's what I came up with for my direct report. What do you want to change, add, delete? This does not need to be a big conversation. It can be, here's the checklist. I'm going to evolve this over time, but I need to get started. We're about to hit bowl season and we don't have time for me not delegating and we don't have time for my direct report not following what is expected.
I can try to get that, or I can try to have a conversation with her on Sunday, the 28th, only because I know we're supposed to do like a check-in, and I'll be flying on the 27th, so I can work on that like during my downtime this week, and then when I'm flying back.
Okay, good. I love it. And then the roles and responsibilities, that's just going to come for every event.
Yeah.
Right? You just want to create the framework. I'll send you something that I have. Again, you might need to tweak it just a little bit, but it'll help you get started. And then I think I might have given that to you in the group coaching program, but regardless, I will find it and get that to you. Okay. So I think that's a really good start, and you can show that framework to your manager as well. Like, I'm going to do this every single time so we avoid some misses.
Okay.
How you feeling?
Sounds like a plan. I'm ready.
Biggest takeaway from today's session?
I need to delegate and be more clear about what I need and what the company needs to have a successful event. I think that's where I'm missing the mark.
Yes, because you guys are both working really hard.
Yeah.
It's just painting what it all should look like just having some standards and sticking to them. And then it makes it so much easier. And it makes it easier to reward, and it also makes it easier to coach. Okay, I'm done. I will stop. Okay, Jordan, this has been amazing. You avoided rapid fire questions because we have run out of time. I know you have to go. But if someone wanted to get in touch with you, how would they do that?
They can get me on LinkedIn. I am always on LinkedIn 24/7, honestly, or they can email me at my work email. It's jcorbin@onlocationexp.com.
Jordan, this has been a pleasure. Thank you for being courageous and sharing your coaching session with Game of Your Own listeners.
Yes, thank you for having me.
So what did you think of this episode? Do you know another woman who works or is aspiring to work in sports? Would you do me a favor and share this with them? It would mean so much if together we could support and inspire other women on their journey. And let's stay connected. I love meeting and talking to new people. Follow me on Instagram @Jahaan Blake and join the free Game of Her Own community by visiting jahaanblake.com. I can't wait to meet you.